Hello, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good.
Hello and welcome to the Baller BBL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host and coach of the Terrace crew, Matt Ricks. Round 2 is in the books, and it was a huge week for the Baller projections with the rankings. Jack Wildermuth, number 1, Shaheen Khan, number 2, the clear standout captaincy options from double game week round 2. Massive scores for Wildermuth, a massive swing in the rankings across BBL SuperCoach for round 2, and plenty to look forward to on Boxing Day with the Stars up in Sydney playing the Sixers to kick off round 3. Joining me to preview all the action ahead of round 3, all the trade plans, all the trade ins, all the trade outs. It's coach of Myth Donda. Myth, how are you, mate? How was your round 2?
It was tracking all right until Wadia got named.
Yeah.
And no storiness for me. Misses 70 odd for Joe Clark, 28, and a bit of a cash gen loss, which is looking like it's taken a bit of a hit to start the season.
Yeah, is that going to cause you any headaches heading into round 3? Do you think you're going to have to make some compromises on trade plans?
I'm going to have to plan ahead a little bit more because it means I've got 2 nuffs. It means cash is fine. I've got like 170k in the bank, so getting these top tier guys will be easy. But with the buys upcoming, I'm just going to be left with a few too many guys that aren't playing week to week.
Yeah, so you're going to need to upgrade that second nuff to someone. So you are going to need a little bit of cash there. Mate, what did you score round 2?
I scored 1,300 on the button, which I think didn't move me much. It was pretty much a grey arrow, technically a small green up to 1,134th.
All right, so well and truly still in the mix. And what was your reaction when you saw Wadia named? What I saw I've seen some chat on socials that people were dead-ended, nothing to do, couldn't get Wildermuth's score. What was your reaction, and how did you play it?
A lot of expletives to start off with. Oh, I could not believe it. But I don't like leaving anything to complete chance. I had the odds of that happening about 0.05%, but that's not 0. So I knew if that worst case scenario happened, I could update Storiness that trade. So instead of trading in Storiness, traded in enough and then move Joe Clark on the field for Wadia. If Joe Clark could have gone on with it and matched Storiness, or Mackenzie Harvey could have actually been the best fielder in the BBL, apparently, and caught Storiness, it wouldn't have done so much damage. But at least I had a way out.
No. And so what were your trades? Who did you bring in at the end in round 2?
Oh, these are rough. Wasn't a good week of trading for me. I traded out Riley Meredith, Tim David, Rayan Ahmed, and Ben Dwarshuis, and I brought in Nathan McSweeney. So that one went well. Yeah. Cameron Bancroft, Daniel Sams, and my Nuff.
Yep. Okay. So I was similar. I brought in Bancroft, Sams, and then from the Heat I brought in Shaheen Afridi, and I boosted early for Storiness to get that cash gen. So that's one boost down for me is there as well. I think the main takeaway on the trades last week, Myth, because we saw this from Thunder, the guys who went well in round 2 for Thunder and Heat were not necessarily the guys who went well in round 1. The swing like Munro to Renshaw, Bancroft to Billings or Constas, it was for me, I thought that was an easy call to go Bancroft because he was the one who was going to make the money. Also, I could play him at wicketkeeper so that I could play a better all-rounder at in my batting slot for a single game week player. But it just goes to show that when the crowd goes there on the previous game week's form, you actually can often be better to zag there and go for someone who's maybe had a down week, but has the obviously potential or could be a better option moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the tricky part early because you're trying to play that cash game and get that cash moving forward. And that's getting these low break-even guys that have scored well the week before. But sometimes it doesn't really work out that way. And Bancroft, not getting it bad in his second innings, definitely showed the risk of taking these low strike rate guys if the team gets off to a good start.
That's another just key point for me is like how exposed are you on these bat only guys? So Bancroft are exposed on getting shunted down the order if the Thunder get off to a good start. Tim David, you're exposed to just him not getting a hit like we saw in round 2. Tim David's obviously an amazing player, but and we're going to chat about him as an option this week. But these are the sort of things to think about when you're looking at these options, especially bat only, because really, unless they're opening the batting, then you are exposed to either getting shunted down the order if you're not a power hitter like Bancroft, or you just are open to not getting a hit if you're batting too low.
Yeah, we even saw in the Heat innings what person came in at 4. You got faced 18 balls or something.
Yeah,
on a flat deck. If you had anyone batting 5, you don't get a bat. And there's going to be a time where in the near future where the bowling team just rips through in the first innings and bowls someone out for 85 or something. Even on these flat decks, it's going to happen at some point. You don't want a number 4 batsman when they're chasing 85.
No, correct. And you're still feeling resolute about your double game weekers over your single game week. It's obviously been an incredible start for the single game week guns in round 1 and 2.
Yeah, but just the guns. It's like these fringe guys have really been quite average. Like I look at the scores I've got over that double game week that just happened, and it's really just the really big guys. Shadab Khan, Jack Wildermuth. Otherwise, wasn't really
Edwards.
seeing Jack Edwards. Yeah, Jack Edwards on the single this week after a huge double. He's killing it. But I'm in a position now where I probably can't have as many double game week players, so I'm going to hope the single game week players continue to fire, like Josh Philippi, Finn Allen this week, those types.
Yep. Mate, the Baller Prize League is officially closed, so closed after round 2. Thank you to everyone who entered. Really looking forward to seeing who takes out the $2,000 first prize, $500 a second and third. Make sure you follow along. Shout out to the Yarra Yaks, Matthew, who is actually the Baller Boffin at Baller Towers. He builds all our projection models. Big shout out to Matthew. Incredible. He's leading by 23 over Jim, coach of Bashers Inc. He leads by 23. Jim, coach of Bashers Inc.'s top scored in round 2 with a 16-23, massive score. C. Shadab, that's just about almost 300 more than I got, and I captain Wildermuth. So he obviously is going to be very well set up now moving forward. Got to shout out the socials. Thank you to everyone who's engaging. Myth, the Discord has been going off, especially during the game, like that live engagement, someone to chat about the game, vent your feelings, and get some advice. That's been going really well, hasn't it?
Oh, it's great, especially if you're not sure what to do after those teamers come out and there's a curveball thrown, which there've been plenty so far. Just to be able to see what other people are doing and other people are reacting, just to get a different perspective is invaluable.
Yep. So that's baller.live/Discord to get involved there. You have to be just a sign up baller. It's obviously free. So make sure you get in there and get amongst that. And head to baller.live just to get all the projections. Like I said, we nailed it in round 1. In round 2, we had Wildermuth, the top projected player from Shadab Khan, who were the top 2 scorers of the round. So you have to go and check that out for your captaincy. Yeah, it's nailing the roles. It's nailing, like I said, the guy who's literally built the projections is winning the Baller League. So you'd be mad not to be going to check out all the stats and data on baller.live. All right, Myth, let's get in now to our trade plans for the trade outs. I want to talk about first before we get into the Baller blueprint for the best stars and canes to look at for round 3. But trade out options, this is something I know that I always get a little bit worried about. Am I going to trade out the right one? Am I keeping the right player? I think you've mentioned it on a pod recently that the key is to hold the guys who you're very comfortable to play in a single game week, or those who are going to generate cash. So let's start with the Brisbane Heat guys who are potential trade outs. All the Heat batters. Xavier Bartlett, Shaheen Afridi, Jack Wildermuth, and then Matty Renshaw is one of the batters as well. Who are your sort of key trade-outs, or who are the ones you'd be looking to hold from the Heat?
I can tell you one thing. I'm definitely going to trade out Nathan McSweeney. He's not going to hurt me.
No.
No worries there. Look, Jack Wildermuth has got a break even of negative 108, so everyone's going to hold him. It's a no-brainer. Could potentially be a season hold if that role continues.
It's the best role in BBL SuperCoach if he's opening the batting, bowling 4, including some key overs.
Yeah, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I think if you got Munro, he's an easy sell. I think Renshaw's an easy keep with the break even. I think the big ones just come down to Bartlett and Afridi, and looking at my trades at the moment, I'm probably holding one of them. So I'm curious to see how you'd split them.
Yeah, I'm trading out one of them as well, so I have to hold. Look, I think Bartlett had a terrible game. He was his first game as captain. He got slapped for 17 in his first over. He sort of came back on when they were just all, Billings took him for, I think Billings gave him a bit of tap in the surge, and then he came back on and bowled death. And he actually bowled all right that last over. So I think it was just a bit of a victim of circumstance there. I think that I'm going to hold Bartlett just because you get a little bit. I think he's just shown a little bit more consistency with the ball than Afridi. Afridi's been pretty poor. And then I think the last thing to throw in there, they're pretty much same price, pretty much same break even. I don't know what I think most people would hold Bartlett, but it's pretty tight. I think the last thing to throw in is we're still not super clear on this Pakistan tour of Sri Lanka, which comes up in, I think, from Jan 8. So, like they've said, they've kind of, Cricket Australia put out some loose stuff saying they've done a deal with the PCB to keep these Pakistani guys here till the end of the bash. But, I mean, the volatility of the PCB is just probably tips the scales in holding Bartlett over Afridi for me.
Yeah, see, if we got mail that they were saying, I'm actually probably leaning the other way. And I think that's partly a zag. But I think when I'm looking at these players in the BBL, I'm looking for who got unlucky because luck turns. And Afridi got stitched up in that Perth game. I think there were 3 drops off of his bowling, and one was a plum one to McSweeney. Like McSweeney takes that every day of the week. Just happened to
roll his ankle,
injure himself right before he's about to catch the ball. Hurt as an owner of both, I can tell you that much.
Oh my God!
But I'm really looking for who got unlucky because that will turn. So someone's going to take a screamer off of Freddie or something, or some just absolute insane catch on the boundary line or something like that, or a dud umpire's call. The luck will swing. So I'm leaning to him at the moment if we get some mail that he'll be around. If he's not around, I've just mentioned earlier, I've got too many non-playing guys to risk holding him. I don't think either will be on field unless my loops stuff up though.
And either of them are easy trade outs later. So Afridi's like, even if you hold Afridi, they've just got single game weeks for the rest of the year now for Brisbane. So he can just be traded at any point later down the track. So if you were to hold Afridi over Bartlett or the other way around, it's not as if you've tied your flag to that mast forevermore.
You can punt them anytime.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like Afridi, very unlucky. Bartlett also unlucky in that game. Yeah, Bartlett batting for me, I think we will see that at some point. It's pretty incredible how bad Brisbane have been. They've conceded 190 plus in all 3 games, including 258 on that road against Perth and 215 against the Renegades in round 1. So they're definitely going to be wanting to tighten that up. I just don't know they've got the depth to bring in to make any changes there. I think that's their issue.
It's pretty insane. We thought maybe a couple months ago this is going to be the best bowling attack we'd seen in the BBL. Bartlett, Afridi, Nessa, and Spencer Johnson. That would just be insane. And now they're really, really struggling. And you can see, I think Bartlett and Afridi are also victim of the other guys probably not being at the highest quality, although Wildermuth has done a great job.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Jack. Going to give him plenty of rove this week. Renshaw easy hole, like we said, and the other heat batters trade outs. Let's move to the Thunder now, mate. We got Shadab Khan and Dan Sams, a popular all-rounder, and then we've got all their batters. So Constas, Bancroft, who was obviously a very popular trade-in, and Davey Warner, who it just didn't work out at all for the guys who took the punt on him.
Yeah, these guys really missed out on the batting. I think it's quite funny. No one was really taking Jilks, Billings, or Constas. Everyone was flocking to Warner and Bancroft, and the swings were huge.
Yep. And Reece Topley was another one. No one really spoke about bringing Topley in. We spoke on the pod about just haven't seen him really do it in BBL yet. But he had a good first game, even though he didn't do too well game 2. Still much better than all those bats. But once again, it's just these guys with the role, isn't it? Like Shadab batting 6, bowling 4 overs, looking good with the ball, and Dan Sams, who like he's a bit hit and miss with the bat. We spoke about on our WhatsApp group over the round, but the key for Dan Sams is he's getting those amazing overs, including I think he's been bowling over 20.
Yeah, he's bowling well too, to be honest. I think in previous years I've watched him and thought he's not got it, but I've been a bit more impressed with him, particularly in his first game. But he's pinch hitting. They're showing that they want to promote him up the order. So that just means he's got a good role. And those two all-rounders are the guys I'd be looking to hold for sure.
Yeah. Just on if you are in need, I think that the big thing this week is people are going to potentially need some cash if they need to get Stoinis or they need to get Maxwell in, or potentially like they want to bring in Chris Jordan as well to make some money and get him in on the double. He's certainly looked the form bowler for the Canes. Would you be selling out of all these sort of more premium guys, so your Wildermuths, your Khans and your Sams, who would you be moving on out of that sort of slightly more expensive crew?
I think if we get information that Pakistan guys are staying, I'd probably lean to sell Sams. And if we do get information that they're leaving, I would sell Shadab.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Wildermuth has to be held, like we said, best role in the game moving forward, and Shadab for me over Sams. Just with the higher batting, he's just a far better batsman than Sam, far more reliable batsman than Sams. He looks in really good form. So, and he's looked near unplayable. It's pretty Jack Wildermuth not picking his wrong and really annoyed me. Yeah, and he bowls wrong-uns every ball, and people just haven't really picked up on that yet. So we'll see moving forward if anyone gets a bit more of a clue against Shadab, but he's certainly got that surprise component at the moment. All right, mate, let's get on to the baller blueprint now for round 3, and it's players from the Stars predominantly, and also the Canes, our old mates from round 1. So they were a team who particularly had a few flips in form in round 2. We saw Chris Jordan score a massive ton there. Nikhil Chowdhury back to form. I sold him in round 2. Rayan Ahmed is an interesting one. Myth. His role without Stanlake looks excellent, but I don't think we can expect to see no Stanlake in the next couple of games.
Very curious. I think there is a very nice part for the Hurricanes in that their first game's at Optus. And if they're going to run 4 quicks, 1 spinner, that is the deck they're going to do it on. So they can't run Stanlake. They're not going to leave Stanlake out every game. But the question I have is, in the first 2 games the Hurricanes played, their lack of batting depth was severely shown up. Like they kept finding Ellis in far too early in both games. I wonder if they switch to that structure of 6 batters and 5 bowlers, and maybe some of these bowlers get rotated. Maybe Stanlake, he comes in, but Meredith drops out.
Yeah.
Or someone else drops out. Or maybe they run, or Ahmed drops out, or Hussain drops out. I think we might see some changes, especially we saw Owen bowl again, so maybe that was the plan all along, but just that hamstring injury put him back. Ahmed's bowled well, so I think they can rely on him a little bit more. And with Owen and Chowdhury, it just makes so much more sense for them to run that 6 batters, 5 bowlers, and Ahmed as that 5th bowler to me. But yeah, hard to leave Stanlake out on Optus Stadium.
Yeah, I don't think, to me, they obviously showed they're happy to bowl Mitch Owen still. He had an over the other day. I know they really love Rashad Hussain. Like they've gone after him obviously a couple of years in a row in the draft. They've said they really want to play him at ballr.live whenever they can. I think it might be option 1 where they actually rotate through Stanlake, Meredith, those guys. Probably Stanlake will be the main guy to miss out there, but yeah, I would suggest that would be the structure more often than not. Obviously, Ahmed can bat. He hasn't quite shown it yet, but I think you're right. They have been Chris Jordan, Nathan Ellis at 7 and 8 is just a bit. You want them at a minimum, I think, 1 spot lower. I think ideally you want Jordan at 9 and Ellis at 10, but yeah, I think they'll take it a spot up. But yeah, it's Jordan just isn't up to batting 7 in my opinion.
No, I think they're a lot better suited with Ahmed there at 7. I expect that's where we'll see him come in most of the time. I wouldn't be fooled by the batting lineup. Maybe if they lose 2 or 3 really early wickets we might see him come up the order, but otherwise he's going to bat 7. He's coming in after Wade. I would be pretty confident in that. But yeah, if they run that same side, I think Ahmed's a very interesting option. He's down
I
at
agree.
low 80K.
I agree. I'll get onto some thoughts on Ahmed and some comparisons in a little bit. Mate, on the bowlers there at the Canes, Ellis he's got a huge BE. He doesn't look to be in particularly good form. Riley Meredith, same boat. I don't think you could touch Meredith, but he's actually probably an interesting pod now with it's just that risk, like we said. Is he going to get rotated with Stanlake? I think he's probably too good for rotation in such a short tournament. And then Rashad Hussain as well. Those guys, I think Hussain's look good. Batting 10, 9 or 10 is the issue for me there. And I own Ellis and I'm going to hold him, but I don't think I'll throw Stanlake in as well as the other Hurricanes bowler there. Who's sort of in there? Could you entertain any of those as a purchase this week?
Look, I think Ellis has kind of bottomed out. 88 break even, but that's over the double game week, so 44 across both to hold his price. He's still got that role, and we saw it in the last game. He bowled terribly, but because he bowled that last over, he got a wicket, and that just boosted his score up. 46 is definitely not disastrous. He's been more of a 50 average player across his BBL history, so I would back some regression to the mean there. Maybe we do see it. Although you could say the same for Meredith, but I just like the Ellis role, and he's the captain. There's no risk in him missing.
Yeah, he's got a projection of 93 heading into round here, so certainly looking good for a good score. I kind of don't mind the Meredith pod call, but that's just put me off a little bit. I wasn't really looking at him. He hasn't quite looked the same there. Mitch Owen, I wouldn't be going near. I held Owen. I'd text the group just before saying I was gonna ditch him. I ended up holding him and playing him with the weather forecast improving there in Geelong. Really annoyed at myself for doing that. It hasn't cost me too much, but it's going to cost me a lot of cash, unfortunately, after this round. Can't possibly be buying Mitch Owen, I wouldn't have thought. Unless maybe there's that, it looks like he's going to get some more overs, but we saw that lineup and he only got one, so it's probably not quite enough, is it, to bring him in?
I think his overs are going to be very dependent on how Rayan Ahmed goes in that structure and how Mitch Owen looks in that first over. I think more often than not, he's going to get that first over now in that team.
Yep.
Potentially at Optus Stadium as well. If they do run the 2 spinners and it's not tracking, then Owen's probably in line to maybe get a couple more overs on that deck. And surely he starts to come off with the bat. And Optus and Ninja Stadium is about as good a double as you could ask for Mitch Owen.
Yeah, that's true. I'm obviously be playing him in these games, but yeah, it's your preseason call, mate. What did you call? Under 200 points first 4 games?
Yeah, under a 40 average, and he's averaging 22.3. So
okay, he's got some work to do.
The line's going to be about 130-ish off the top of my head. So we'll see how that prediction goes. Jack Edwards is steaming it in.
Oh, mate, the projection on Jack Edwards, top 5 averaging player, just absolutely airborne. 3 tons in a row to start the season. Ridiculous.
He's flying.
Last Hurricane there, last couple of Hurricanes are the guys who did well in round 2, Chris Jordan, Nikhil Chowdhury, 127K and 137K respectively. I don't think you'd be buying Chowdhury at 137K with that. He doesn't look like getting a bowl.
No, it's one of those. He's batted well, to be fair, and he is a pod. And if you're looking to just flip one over a week and you put the trades to it, it's not the worst option, but I do think Jordan's a lot better.
The cash there is the thing. Yeah, I'd certainly be going Jordan over Chowdhury. With the role. I also just think that a guy like Tim David is probably a better purchase than Chowdhury, like just for the upside. He's 97K, 98K now. We're just not going to get games where they chase straight to the wire every time. We said at the top of the pod that you are exposed to that, but I don't mind. Even though he's highly owned still, I don't mind the Zag back. He's actually in my team at the moment for this week, Tim David. He's not locked by any means, but I think 98K just with that upside I think, and that's purely a cash thing. So I need someone for under 99K for that last slot. And I think he's the pick. I think I like him better than a Campbell Kellaway, for which then we'll start segueing to the Stars myth.
Yeah, look, Tim David is far worse punts to take, and that double suits him as well, I think. You're just going to hope that those Scorchers bowlers can take a few early wickets.
Yep. So let's get to the Stars now, mate. I mentioned Campbell Kellaway there. He's got a very low BE. Actually, I think his BE's gone back up a little bit after a pretty poor round 2 score. But yeah, I think I just prefer. I don't know. He's going to bat 3. I'm just a little bit worried about that now, overexposing myself on Stars for that bye in the round after, and I think you'd be in that same boat, Myth.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with those 2 nuffs, I'm a big risk there. So very cautious on how many of these Stars I do take. And Campbell Kellaway, he has scored well. Break even's 60 across 2 games. You probably need a score in one of them now. And he's just, whilst he's done well, he's not a SuperCoach friendly player. He's similar to Bancroft. He needs a lot of runs to be able to get that strike rate bonus. And it might only be a 10 or 15 pointer.
Yeah, and I think he'll be pretty popular at that price, coming off a good game in round 1. I'm just going to steer away. He's projected to score 71 in round 3 across the 2 fixtures. So I'm probably going to steer clear of him. I think using these projections is a very good way to split some of these guys. Chris Jordan was the big one. The model has been all over Chris Jordan so far with that role, batting 7 and 8 and getting those great overs. So I cannot speak highly enough about these projections for Big Bash because they've just nailed them so far. So please get along to baller.live and have a look, mate. The rest of the Stars now let's start with the 2 premium guys. Glenn Maxwell, 170K, projected 99 round 3, and Marcus Stoinis, 191K, projected 119 points in round 3. He's obviously got the great role. As of yesterday, I was all in on still getting Maxwell. And he obviously bowled again. I'm just worried about this batting role, but he's gone in ahead of Stoinis again yesterday, and I think he can really still do some damage.
I think if you're riding off Glenn Maxwell after those first 2 games, one of which he didn't get a bat, yeah, how often are we going to see a top order of Joe Clark, Sam Harper, and Campbell Kellaway limit these guys facing balls at the crease? It's not going to happen as often as it has, and if they bring in another young gun or not the best batsman in the world to come in for Tom Rogers, then they're still brittle up top. I'm not going to be taking Glenn Maxwell on. I might try and go aggression to the mean and take him with the VC, to be honest.
Yeah, he's in my trade at the moment. He's in my trades at the moment. 170K is a good price. Like, thing we've seen with Maxwell over the past couple of seasons is he's done well with bat only, and he hasn't been bowling a ton. It obviously looks like Stoinis and Peter Moores want to give him a lot more of a role with the ball this season. That's not going to end up, I wouldn't think, with too many 3-over games. Like we saw last night, he had 2, but I think that we're just going to see enough there where if he gets an early wicket or 2, we will see that 3 or 4 overs. It's certainly within the realms of possibility. So yeah, I'm happy, more than happy to take that punt on Maxwell. He batted 4 last night. He got out. It's going to happen. It's obviously maybe a little question mark on his batting form, just off another poor IPL earlier in the year. But I think we just got to trust that Maxwell's still just too good for this league. So he's coming in for me. If you don't own Stoinis, Myth, like as in your situation, is
get
he? Yeah, got to get him. Yep.
It's don't even think twice. He's not a fade. He's bowling. He's batting really well. He's going to be the most popular vice captain this round by a fair margin, I suspect. Just get him.
Yep. The other thing for these 2 guys, it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in for Tommy Rogers. So he's obviously got injured last night. We saw Harper was going to be playing that floating role. So in game 1, where the Stars got off to a flyer, he didn't feature. So they brought Stoinis in at 4 in those later overs. Maxi didn't get a hit, and Sam Harper was I presume, going to drop to either 6 or 7 before or after Cartwright. We saw last night Rogers get injured and Harper's the man. I think he would have been the man to go in with as early wickets to protect Stoinis and Maxwell. But we saw him having to open the batting, and he did really well. So I think that's going to be the structure there moving forward. So it really depends on who they bring in now for Rogers. Have you got any read on who that could be?
Absolutely no clue. Maybe we'll see the infamous Jono Merlot come in.
Yeah, Jono Jody Hicks Merlot. I don't think. They do, when he plays Merlot, they tend to just stick him at 8 and not bowl. So that's perfect for other Supercoach assets around him for the Melbourne Stars. Yeah, so I think moving forward, I think we're aligned there that we both want Maxwell and Stoinis in the team this week. I'll certainly be having both, mate. The other guy we just mentioned there was Sam Harper. So we got Joe Clark and Sam Harper at the top. We didn't mention Benny McDermott either, who's had a red hot start, averaging 70 so far across the first 3 games. But Harper and Clark, both much cheaper options, both going to be opening the batting. Are either of those guys worth a flyer if you don't own?
I can't believe we're talking about Sammy Harper again, and I can't believe there's some viability in it. His break-even's negative. He's got the double. He's keeping.
He's got a buy.
He's got a buy. There's some genuine appeal to go Sammy Harper, and I think I would take him over Joe Clark right now.
Wow.
Just because that break-even, and he's going to make some cash, even with 2 catches across the 2 games. There's 7 or 8K there, and that seems to be the absolute floor of what can happen. So I'd be quite tempted, in all honesty, to grab that.
Yep. So the good thing with Harper and Clark as well. So I own Clark. I had him since round 1. Is this round 4 buy that they've got? So that activates the wicketkeeper loop in that round. So you're really looking at buying one of those guys for round 3, 4, 5. With 2 doubles and a bye before punting them out. Harper, the other thing is he's got the gloves, so that's a higher expectation on fielding points there. So so we'll have to update Harper's projection because it's a little low in the sheet at the moment, just because we've got him down batting at sort of 6 or 7. So we'll bump him back up to opener to get the projection correct there. But yeah, they're both going to be sort of averaging, looking at those 70 and 80s for round 3. The other Stars guys, let's get down to the all-rounders and the bowlers now, mate. Tommy Curran is averaging 51. He had 3 wickets last night. Projection of 99. 108K. He was the first trade-in for me this week.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested in that one. He hasn't bowled surge or death in either game since being bowled out pretty early. And he's coming in at 8.
Yep.
I'm looking at probably fading him at this point in time.
Okay. Yeah, well, I must admit I was out for dinner last night, so I haven't checked in on Curran's overs from last night, which ones they were. But just the 108K for me, picking up poles, will bat when required. Obviously now, if they just depending on who they bring in, he might go up a slot in the batting as well. So we'll see there. But yeah, he was sort of one I'd had my eye on. I wanted him from round 1, to be honest. But so certainly one to watch on the team structure there. But yeah, he was one who I was pretty keen on. The bowlers, Harris Ralph and Peter Siddle, both premium options, 155K for Ralph, 130K for Siddle. Ralph looks rock solid. It's just the price it's a bit hard there, isn't it, Myth?
If I could get Ralph, I would be getting Ralph without even blinking. I genuinely just cannot get to him unless I'm ditching one of these really good quality all-rounders. And I've got too much trash in my team at the moment, so that's really, really, really hard to justify. But if I could get one of these bowlers, if I could get the other one of a Freddie Bartlett up to Ralph, I would be doing so. And I think a lot of people won't be able to get him for that exact reason. So if you can, I think he's a superb pod. He's bowling those death overs. He's bowling the surge. And he can rip through a team.
Yep. Averaging 68 across the first 2 games. He's projected 89 points. Siddle is projected 87. question mark, I guess, on Siddle playing both games, but I don't think they can really afford to leave him out the way he's bowling and the trust they have in him.
No, and he gets a little bit of a rest. They don't play. Oh, I guess they play Friday, and then Friday, Sunday is tough. So if he's going to rest, that's probably the one. But he's so fit. He's bowling death overs as well. He's probably not a bad alternative if you can't get to Ralph. Probably prefer him to Tom Curran.
They're both low ownership as well, 4.5% currently. That'll obviously go up, and 6.5%. I'd expect to see them both at around the 10 to 15% owned this round. So that's massive pod areas in a double. So, yeah, they're obviously they're great. They're great picks. So like you said, they got the great overs. Now you've got me really worried about Tommy Curran. So thank you very much for that myth.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. That's all the. I mean, Mitch Sweption. He 53K
No.
is the only appealing bit there, but that just doesn't sit right, does it? He's just got too low a floor.
Yeah, it's just not Supercoach friendly.
Yep. Agree with that completely. All right, round 4, guys. So this is the Scorchers. We obviously saw them play that massive 500-run game against the Heat, which resulted in some massive scores. Cooper Connolly, who we were a bit bearish on to start the season, has really shown us up. He's averaging 109 across the first 2 games. Break even at 212K. Finn Allen is the other one there who has a break even of -30 and a 75-point average to start the season. Mate, are you looking at Perth this round? Or are you just going to kind of let that play out? And yeah, if we have to get Cooper Connolly for 700,000 in round 4, it might have to be that.
Yeah, definitely going to be paying up for Cooper Connolly next week. That's going to be real fun. But yeah, Finn Allen interests me. I think all the other Perth guys you can wait on. Let's see if Jai's in the test squad. Let's see what that Perth bowling attack looks like. There's going to be a value option there come their double. But whilst it's tempting to go early on it now, and I'm going to have a look at it, to be honest, it's probably safer to wait and see the best guy before taking a dart and throw at it. But Finn Allen, -30 break even. If you want him, now's the week to get him, I think. He looks really good in that first game. I think he was just shy at the 20. And with the gloves, he's just going to get those free catches, which just makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Yep. I do feel like I feel like last week was a Stoinis boost was better than a Allen boost this week still. Like, just with the buys starting to come up after this week, I think I want to save my second boost if I'm getting caught short one week with injuries or, Pakistanis leaving, that sort of thing. So if I have to pay a little bit more, Finn Allen's still obviously amazing value with the way he's batting. I still think I'd be happy to take Finn Allen on with a Mitch Marsh, even though we haven't seen him do it just yet. But I'm not sure I'd want both. So, so I think that's why I'm going to play it. I own Hardy already from Perth. Connolly, if he's going to be bowling, is probably a non-negotiable. So yeah, so that's probably going to be the way I'm playing. I'll leave out the boost, and I'm not going to give up a score involvement to get Finn Allen this week from one of my three trades. So yeah, I'm gonna be holding off on the Perth guys this week, mate. Captains. Sorry. Let's just touch quickly on the draw. So, we've got the Stars and Hurricanes on this week. Then we've got the bye in round 4 for the Stars, Perth double, and then the Stars double again in game week 5. Before we sort of then get into Hobart bye and Sixers double again in round 6. Who are you looking for any of these Stars guys that you own to hold through the bye and then for that round 5 double?
Yeah, ideally, I think you want to hold as many as you can. I think Stoinis, for me, is going to have to go to Connolly. I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to afford him. I don't see another way around that. I'll just have to find a different way to Stoinis back in round 5, which isn't the best avenue of trading, but it looks like the one I'm going to have to go down. The other guys, Maxwell and Clark, I'll look to hold through that, use them as loops if need be. No danger of them stuffing me up like a Wadia, so they're handy from that regard to just make sure you're getting those scores.
And will you start to look selling your Hurricanes off after this round?
Yeah, Chris Jordan has timed that score. Even though I didn't get it, he's timed that to perfection. So with his 7 break even, hopefully he can go up at least another 25K from a 100-ish score this week. That would be absolutely perfect. And then I can, look to sell him off, and we'll judge the others based on how they score this week.
Yeah, Mitch Owen's going to be a very interesting one. He's going to leak bulk cash again this week. Massive break even. He's one who potentially could sit on your bench as an E. If you do, I haven't looked at the Hurricanes fixture order, but he could be an option for one who, if you don't have to ever play him, that he could sit on. He's obviously got that huge ceiling. If you can bring him off the bench with the emergency on him, so yeah, it's definitely looking like sell-off season for the Canes. So from here, in saying that, they clearly still look the best team this season and are going to have some big performances.
I do think as well, though, you've got to keep in mind that round 7, we're looking a little bit far away, sure, but round 4, you're going to bring in Perth. Round 5, if you don't hold as many stars, or you might look to get a couple more stars, you'll grab them. Round 6 is the Sixers, so unless you're holding some through, you're still going to want to get maybe a couple more in to wash us back. Then all of a sudden, round 7's here, and it's a Hurricane and Strikers double.
Yeah,
so
Jesus.
If you haven't got Hurricanes just held throughout that, you could go into that round if you haven't prepared, and all of a sudden you've only got 2 Hurricanes and you still haven't bought a striker. And all of a sudden you're playing quite low on a team, on strikers in particular, who have a lot of good options. So be wary of that.
I think next round is the big strategy chat pod, Myth, because that's where this round's fairly straightforward. Stars and Canes, stars mainly, but yeah, and a Cane. But next week it's really what does the look ahead for the makeup of my team look like for those later rounds, because that's where it's actually going to get super strategic, and you need to be setting your team up for the last 4 rounds of the season, because it's going to get crazy there. Like, even just looking at that, Hurricanes have got a last round bye as well. So, 2 buys and another double. The Sixers are the other key team there. Like, I think everyone will just hold Jackie Edwards now. And Philippi, probably you're holding Philippi through now as well. He's going to keep making cash, and he's got that useful buy as well with the wicketkeeper loop. So, yeah, Dwarshus, like you said, there's a ton of strategy that we're going to have to start taking a look at really for rounds 4 and 5 trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for my side, and maybe other teams that are out there that are struggling, I think you almost have to bring that forward. I'd looked at Matt Short as a round 4 trade in ages ago and going, I'd love to get him on early. Beat the pack at getting him, but might be tricky now with Cooper Connolly just going up so much in price. But getting some of these really gun single game week players that have a double to come is going to be the flavor of the week, I think, round 4 or 5 to get ahead.
Yep. All right, mate. Let's get into captaincy and trades now. Who are you looking for the VC and C this week?
VC is going to be Stoinis or Maxwell. I don't think you need to overcomplicate it. Stoinis is the obvious one. Will be hard to go against. He's batting really well. He's got the form. He's bowling. He's often getting a late over with the ball, which is extremely handy. But we just spoke about that the player that's scored well in the last couple of weeks isn't always the one to score in the one going forward. And taking a zag with someone of the quality of Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Disregarding his previous scores, and probably someone like not ranked too poorly or too well, just outside top 1,000 is not too bad at a start. But that's the kind of move that can really accelerate you up the ranks if it comes off.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. You really have to be looking at the ownership and captaincy. It's called effective ownership, which with the captaincy of what percent of players are getting a score from that player. And I think you're 100% right. You need to make zags in this game. You can't, I think the key to this game is you need to not miss any of the really obvious stuff. But then when the timing is right to make a play where it's a 50-50 call and you go against the masses, I think that's really, really good advice, Myth. I'm looking at Maxi as well. I still might do Stoinis. I just need to look at some projection stuff there before making that final decision. Obviously, you can do that too over at baller.live. Captaincy?
Oh, geez. Hurricanes haven't got really anyone that stands out. Look, I think for me, it'd be Mitch Owen. I think if I'm taking Stoinis on, I've got to take him on with 2 guys that can just go enormous. And if Maxwell fails and I'm not looping him, I've got to take on someone that can match Stoinis. And I think the only one that can do that in that Hurricanes team is Mitch Owen. And just hope maybe they run that same structure, and on the Perth pitch, maybe they take 2 spinners, spin doesn't work, and then Mitch Owen ends up bowling 3 overs.
Yep.
I think that's where my head is at, despite Mitch Owen just swinging about at everything when maybe he should be a little more tactful.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think you've got to back Owen to come off in one of the 2 games. He obviously didn't come off in round 1, and I think that'll put a lot of people off him. He still got a 60 or whatever it was, so it wasn't it was only a total disaster in the context of Jack Edwards that week. But yeah, and then if you're looking at a bowler, would you be looking at Jordan or Ellis?
I'd go regression to the mean. I'd go with Ellis. I think something as well this week, if you're going Stoinis, I think there's an argument to straight captain him and use your loops just to focus on the emergencies rather than captaincy. I think the Stars guys are far better captain options. I think if going against Stoinis, you want to give yourself the 2 options. But if going for the main guy, I think there's a fair argument to use the advantage by taking him as straight C and just then using your emergencies to loop on.
Yep.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
All right, mate. Baller moves. Any trades you're eyeing off as a big baller move this week?
Given the chaos of last round and the mess I find myself in, Stoinis and Maxwell are just 2 very no-brainer trade in. So it's really just that third trade. And with the extra time we've got, I probably haven't looked at it too much. I'm going diving in the bargain bin a little bit. I'm looking at Finn Allen, but maybe taking him on with Mitch Marsh is a good idea. I'm a little bit stuck at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those cheaper guys that I'm looking at. Samuel Harper's. I want to see if there's any way I can get one of these nuffs out early. If I can get one of these nuffs out early to someone that looks pretty viable, I might do that. But just depends on a bit more information. The cash difference between Bartlett and Afridi might make a difference, but I'm really looking at those sub 100k guy options as that third trade in, and someone that I'm not gonna be too annoyed if I'm stuck with for a longer term.
Yeah, I'm still looking. I'm the same, mate, and like I'm gonna have another good look at Curran at the 108k, and I'm really gonna have to get 2 guys who are for 200k, and so yeah, Timmy David, Riley Meredith, maybe Rashad Hussain, but I don't think I'll go there. But yeah, it's very tricky. I don't know. I'm not sure this is the week for baller moves, to be honest. I think I want to play a pretty straight bat this week and just try and get the highest scoring guys I can. And then, yeah, like I said, we start getting a bit funkier from next week onwards. Mate, that's going to see us out. We got a round 3 episode coming up after the last game of round 2, or during the last game of round 2. So round 3, I should say. So that's going to be exciting. We got a shorter turnaround between round 3 and 4. Obviously, a couple of days now ahead of round 3, but yeah, mate, it's been a good pod, and wishing you all the best of luck for round 3.
Yeah, you too, mate. Let's hopefully no more whiteier names.
No. What do you know about that? Want to say a big Merry Christmas to all our baller listeners. Hope everyone stays safe over the holiday season. Enjoy some time with their family. Make sure that you enjoy your Big Bash come Boxing Day and the Boxing Day test. Well done to the Aussies taking out the Ashes. But thank you for all your support during the year across NRL and BBL. It's been so good building the baller community, and we'll see everyone in the Discord. And I wanted to say a big Merry Christmas and you beauty. Thanks, everyone.